Well, after talking about the amazing start to this franchise, it is now time to talk about what came after, and it's now time to go to the Lost World.
Yo, dudes, the Empire's pretty chill. Maybe you could, join it or something.
Hey everyone, Lucimus Prime here. So, it is time for another review in my series of reviews for Jurassic Park movies, and in today's video, guys, I'm going to be reviewing what is, of course, the second installment of a franchise after the first movie, Jurassic Park, from 1993. And this is of course, for the second movie in the series to be directed by the legendary Steven Spielberg, and the last one that he's done to date, of course, as well, which is none other than 1997's The Lost World Jurassic Park. So this is, of course, the second installment to a franchise, guys, and it's time to review it. So how was this movie made? So after, of course, the release of the original novel by Michael Crichton and the first film's success, fans pressured Michael Crichton for a sequel. Following the book publication in 1995, which this movie is based on called The Lost World, production began on a film sequel, with Spielberg returning to direct. Filming took place from September to December 1996, primarily in California, with a shooting in Kauai, Hawaii, where the first film was shot. And also, as well, now, one of this movie also did differently to the first film was it made things darker as well, which was probably a very nice thing to do, really, to make it different to a first movie, so it was more serious this time. And this movie was also among the most anticipated movies of 1997 as well. It was accompanied by a $250 million marketing campaign, which included video games, comic books, and toys. Released on May 23rd, 1997, the film received mixed reviews from critics, who praised the visual effects but criticised the character development. Spielberg also unfortunately expressed disappointment with the film, stating that he had become increasingly disenchanted with it during production. The film grossed $618 million worldwide, becoming the second highest grossing film of 1997, and unfortunately, of course, also the highest grossing film of that year was a film I despise, which is Titanic. Ugh. The film was even got nominated for Best Visual Effects at the Academy Awards, also unfortunately losing to Titanic as well, so yeah. Ugh. Yeah, because I hate Titanic. So, when it comes to my reaction to the sequel, guys, so I've seen this bits of the sequel when I was a kid, and I managed to rewatch it in its entirety in 2020 on Netflix, and also from last night's rewatch, because I got this Blu-ray steel look of a movie. And I actually really love this sequel. I think it's a great sequel to the first film. I think it's very underrated, and one of Spielberg's most underrated movies I've seen that deserves more love, in my opinion. And I'm also one of those people that also regards it as my second favourite of a franchise after the first movie. I mean, while it may not be as great or as iconic as the first movie, in my opinion, I still think it's a great sequel nonetheless. So, when it comes to a good quality of this movie, so returning, of course, from the first movie as the main character this time is Ian Malcolm, played, of course, by Jeff Goldblum. So I was really happy that they made him the main character, because he's actually my favourite character in the franchise, so I love how they gave him a movie about him. I definitely love that. It was really cool how they gave him a role in this. And so, when it comes to the plot of the movie, what's it about? So, 4 years after the original movie, John Hammond, played once again by Richard Attenborough, may he rest in peace, has lost control of his company, InGen, to his nephew, Peter Ludlow, played by Arliss Howard. On the verge of bankruptcy, Ludlow intends to exploit dinosaurs from InGen's second island, Isla Sorna, with plans for a new dinosaur theme park in San Diego. Hammond sends a team led by Malcolm to the island to document the dinosaurs and encourage non-interference, although the two groups eventually come into conflict. So that's the plot of the movie. Now, when it comes to what's great about it, so Jeff Goldblum once again gives a great performance as Ian Malcolm in this movie, as always. He's my favourite role of Jeff Goldblum. Now, when it comes to a change in tone in this movie, there is one they did with Ian Malcolm, which I did like the change of being that they made him more serious this time, because Because while in the first movie, he was a bit like a comic relief sort of character who was very fun to watch. In this film, as a main character, they made him very, very serious, which I definitely liked as a bit of a change for his character. And it makes sense due to what he went through, of course, in the first movie. It makes perfect sense why he'd be more serious this time, of course, when going on an expedition involving dinosaurs, of course. And also returning in as well is Richard Attenborough, may rest in peace, as Dr. John Hammond. And unfortunately, in this movie, he's very ill, which is a shame. So, and one of my bad causes with this movie is that he barely appeared in the film, which was disappointing. He only had 2 scenes in the movie, which I thought disappointing because I thought he was a great part of the first movie. But sadly, in this movie, he barely appeared, which was a bit of a shame. But Richard Attenborough was so great as in nonetheless for what he was given. And also as well, returning as well for a cameo appearance from the first movie is of course Tim and Lex Murphy, who are Hammond's grandchildren, played once again by Georgie Mazzella and Ariana Richards. It was nice to see them and get to reunite with Ian Malcolm at Hammond's mansion, but unfortunately though, I didn't like how they were just a cameo. I was hoping we'd see more of them, but yeah, they unfortunately only were there for that one scene with Ian Malcolm, sadly, which was a shame. When it comes to new characters introduced in this film, of course, introduces is Ian Malcolm's girlfriend called Sarah Harding, played by Julianne Moore. Now, when it comes to her, I do have some mixed thoughts on her. Sometimes she can be a bit annoying at times, but sometimes I find her funny, to be honest. So, I didn't really mind her, but yeah, Julianne Moore's a great actress, guys, and she did her best with what she was given as Sarah in this movie. But personally, my favourite role of hers so far is, of course, in the last 2 films of the Hunger Games, though. That's what I'll say. And she's been in other great roles too, and I still think she was good in this movie as well. I thought she was funny at times. I definitely as well like the addition of Vince Vaughn as Nick Van Owen as well, who is part of Ian Malcolm's group. And I gotta say that, I actually found him also funny at times too, yeah. And Vince Vaughn is one of my favourite comedians, and he's been in lots of funny things, and this is definitely an example of a funny role of his that I definitely liked. And my favourite role of his is Sergeant Howell in Hacksaw Ridge. I still think he was great in this film as Nick Van Owen. It's one of my favourite roles of Vince Vaughn. And I definitely as well love the addition of Pete Postle for it, may he rest in peace, as Roland Tembo. I definitely liked him as a character. That's probably my favourite role of Pete Postle for it, yeah, rest in peace. And Alice Howard was also as well good as Peter Ludlow as well, and there was other good characters in this movie as well. I definitely like the addition of Vanessa Lee Chester as Kelly, who is Malcolm's daughter, who stores away in his portrait to be with him. So yeah, a bit reckless to be a stowaway for, really, isn't it? Yeah. And Peter Stormare was also good as his character called Dieter Stark as well. That's one of my favourite roles of Peter Stormare. And there was other good cast members in this movie as well. For example, Ajay Sidhu, who is Roland's best friend, played by Harvey Jason, and also Richard Sheaf as Eddie Carr, and also Thomas F. Duffy as Dr. Robert Burke as well. Yeah, the cast in this was really good. Aside from the cast as well, one of the highlights of this movie is probably as well the visual effects once again, because in my review for the first movie, I already talked about how impressive the effects were and how the film's never going to get old. Well, I think I can also say the same thing for this movie, because the effects are just absolutely incredible for a 1997 movie and the standards of the 90s. It's very impressive, and this film had something different to the first film because it made a much larger use of CGI to depict the dinosaurs, along with the animatronics, but they use the CGI more. And I gotta say, the CGI really has aged very well in this movie, which is very impressive. Yeah, it's very impressive how well they did the effects like that. Courtesy, of course, of Industrial Light and Magic doing the CGI, and also Stan Winston and rest in peace his team as well, making animatronics. It was very impressive, the CGI, and I think the lighting also helped as well, because many of the shots of dinosaurs were in dark lighting, and that definitely really helped to make it be very impressive for its time. Yeah, it was very impressive, really was remarkable. And this film definitely showed it, and I also like how the film went for a darker tone than the first movie, which was also as well a very nice change to make it different. And one reason why I do really appreciate this sequel a lot, and why it's my second favourite in my franchise, is because I like how it does not rehash its predecessor, which unfortunately a lot of sequels in movies are guilty of doing nowadays. But this movie, however, does not do that. It has a different plot this time, and this time the stakes are higher because it's much more darker this time, which I definitely like the change of right there. And yeah, it was definitely, you know, a nice change, really. And I like how it had a different story because, yeah, I think if, you know, it was the same story, it will probably get annoying having to see the same thing again. But I like how our plot this time was much different and also darker and more serious. That was definitely really good, that. And in addition to that as well, another great thing is, once again, the music composed by the legendary John Williams, my favourite composer of all time. He once again used many of his iconic theme songs from the first movie and also introduced many new ones too, which is definitely great to listen to. You know, John Williams, to me, always will be the greatest composer of all time. Once again, and collaborating with Steven Spielberg, who he's collaborated a lot on, because of the time of recording, he's composed the music for 29 films by Spielberg, and this is one of them. And yeah, like I said before, guys, I don't think Spielberg's films will be as iconic as they are without John Williams' music, in my opinion, because his music is very iconic, and yeah, it definitely is shown in this movie for sure, absolutely. Yeah, John Williams is an absolute legend. And as well as, of course, the cast and the visual effects and the music as well, I think the film has lots of great action-packed sequences which are very good to watch. My favourite scene in the film was probably the San Diego scene. That was pretty epic, I will say. and the film moves at a very great pace as well, because despite being 129 minutes, the pacing is really great. It doesn't feel boring or rushed or anything like that. The pacing is really good for this movie, yeah. So this is why I think it's a great sequel. So yeah, this movie is definitely, in my opinion, a great sequel to the first film, that in my opinion deserves more love. I think it's very underrated, one of Spielberg's most underrated movies. It's a shame that he was disappointed with it, but you know, but still, I still love this sequel. I think it's a great sequel, and in my opinion, the best of the sequels to the first movie. Because while there's some films after this film after the first one that I do like, and this one after this one, I feel this one, however, to me, is probably the best one out of the sequel since the first movie to me. So yeah, that's my opinion. So yeah, this is definitely still nonetheless a great sequel, and it was definitely really fun to rewatch and go out down memory lane last night, of course, and it was definitely, you know, really great, yeah. So, however, it may not be as good in my opinion as the first movie. The first one, in my opinion, can never be topped when it comes to this franchise as a whole. The first one will always be the best one, but when it comes to this film's bad qualities, well, so I've already said that I didn't really like how John Hammond only had 2 scenes in the film, which was disappointing, and also how his grandchildren only had a cameo appearance after they appeared a lot in the first movie. And it was also a bit of a shame how some characters from the first film were absent. For example, Dr. Grant and Dr. Sattler, they weren't in this sequel, sadly, but I can let it slide because I'm going to say this is Ian Malcolm's movie, of course. Unfortunately, of course, that Rose ended up in a bad film after this one, didn't they? Ugh. Which is a massive shame. But when it comes to other things as well, I want to say that sometimes Sarah can be a bit annoying, but most of the time, she was funny to watch, to be honest. That's what I'll say. And yeah, so that's my opinion on this. So yeah, all bad qualities is that some characters I feel were underused. Some, of course, were absent, but yeah. This is Ian Malcolm's movie, so I can accept, of course, him being the main character, because he's my favourite character, so I'm happy that they made him a main character. So yeah. That's my opinion, of course, on this film. It's definitely, nonetheless, a great sequel, and it was really fun to rewatch, and I'll keep rewatching it as long as possible, really, just like I did to the first movie. And yeah, because this is a great franchise. There's only one bad movie in the franchise, of course, which is unfortunate. I'm going to be reviewing in next week. Oh, God! I am not looking forward to that, so yeah, wish me luck for that one, guys. I'm really not looking forward to that one, because, yeah, it's a massive shame, because this sequel was just amazing, and what came after it I thought was trash when I look back at it. So yeah. And this film, in my opinion, should have won the Oscar for the best visual effects, to be honest. It should have won it. Yeah, because this film was definitely way better for me compared to the disgrace, which was Titanic. Because yeah, one of the people, guys, that really hates Titanic, I think it's a disgrace. And this film that I'm reviewing should have won the Oscar, not that. And this film should have also been the highest grossing movie of the year as well, not that either as well. That's what I'll say. Because this film was miles better than that, and it's definitely an amazing blast to watch even when I rewatch it. So yeah. So guys, this is me doing my review for The Lost World Jurassic Park, and yeah, another thing as well is the title will, of course, be a bit confusing as well. I mean, and what I'm wondering is, why did we put Jurassic Park before or after The Lost World? Because I'm thinking, why not put it before The Lost World and call it like Jurassic Park The Lost World, or maybe Jurassic Park 2 The Lost World, really. So yeah, the title, in my opinion, could have needed a bit of work. I'll say that's one of my bad qualities. So that's my opinion. So, if I was to give this movie a score out of 10, so to this day, guys, this still my second favourite in the franchise, and I don't remember the exact score I gave it out of 10 on my ranking back in 2020. I might give it the same score that I'm going to do now, but in today's review, guys, I'm going to give The Lost World Jurassic Park a very solid score of 8.5 out of 10. Yeah, easily my favourite of the Jurassic Park sequels, and my second favourite in the franchise after the original movie. That's my opinion, so yeah. So, guys, this is doing my review for A Lost World Jurassic Park. So, you know, drill, guys. Be sure to give this video a like. Also, be sure to let us know in the comments what you guys think of A Lost World Jurassic Park. If you've seen what your thoughts on the comments below. Also, be sure to join Team Prime by pressing subscribe in this current future. If you would like to be a member, you can join using a PC or laptop, or you can look the description. And life finds a way.